welcome to Lex Talk Fashion. If you're surprised by this, stay tuned tomorrow. I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. But yeah, let me show you the fit real quick and Lex Talk Fashion. Okay, before we get started, I just wanted to show you the fit for today. I'm sure you are surprised by this makeup, but if you want to know how to do it, stay tuned for tomorrow, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do this makeup. It is like a fairy ethereal sort of makeup look, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, this is the look. You already know. We got to have the leopard, and yeah. All right. Back to fashion. Anyway, all right, so as you can see, we're pretty basic. We have my favorite bodysuit. You know, I have a love for fancy sleeves and shoulders. My favorite high-waisted skinny jeans, and of course we have to have a little leopard. It is fall after all. Anyway, you can't see her, but Suki is literally right here next to me, so that's what we're dealing with. Anyway, I want to talk about fashion today. Obviously, it's Monday. And here's what I would like to focus on. Sorry, the thing wasn't straight, and I wanted to make sure my audio was working this time. So I wanted to check that. And then I wanted to see that my audio was making... Okay, anyway. So I want to talk about kind of like the gatekeepers in a way. There are a lot of people that, you know, truly think that fashion is like the high-end things shouldn't be copied or, you know, created. What's the word I'm looking for? Like another cheaper version of it made. Because they think, you know, you have to have the most expensive version because, you know, that's the one that's going to last the longest. And I sort of have actually a problem with this. I feel like the people who buy the cheaper version of, you know, say like knockoffs or a style or a piece that looks like it could be the higher end version, they just want to be a part of the trend. They just want to be in the moment and look and feel fashionable and their best. And honestly, people who want to look fashionable and, you know, work hard to, you know, find the fashions and be into it and enjoy it, I don't see anything wrong with, you know, making yourself happy and getting something that you love, even if it's not the most expensive version. There was a study found, actually, that they found that the higher end version isn't necessarily more sustainable than the cheaper version. I mean, granted, the cheaper version is probably made by people who are paid less, but they've also found that the high-end brands are also using cheap labor. So even in buying those expensive goods, you're not necessarily helping the people who are creating those goods. You know, you're helping the designer, sure, the original designer, but the people who actually do the labor and work on those pieces, you're not necessarily making their lives better because most of that money that you paid for that piece is still going back to the brand and not the people who labored over it. The other part, the other aspect of that is that the materials might be nicer materials like real leather, maybe real gold pieces, the metals might be nicer. However, there's something to be said about using materials like that, be it people who want to stay vegan and not use animal parts or blood diamonds, that sort of thing, you know. I actually heard a really interesting woman who loves geology and all about rocks and stones and stuff. And she had this amazing argument for moissanite, which is also a naturally occurring stone that looks just like diamond. Diamond being the hardest stone, but moissanite being like the second hardest rock, you know? And because it's so refractive, it actually sparkles more, and you don't have to mine it for blood diamonds, you know? It's easier to get, which, yes, okay, it makes it technically less hard, you know, less expensive because there's, you know, more of it. But again, diamonds, if you look at that industry, there are plenty of diamonds. It's, again, one of those myths that people fall into. You have to have a diamond to get engaged, that sort of thing, or diamonds are the stone that you want. Whereas moissanite is just as spectacular, if not even more so, because of how much it shines and sparkles. And you're not hurting anyone when you get it, you know? I thought that was interesting. But in that same vein, I think it's interesting that, you know, sometimes these higher end brands are using materials that could actually hurt communities, animals, that sort of thing. So there's an argument to be said about both, you know, the cheaper version versus the more expensive original brand version of a piece of fashion. The other thing that's really interesting that I don't think a lot of people talk about is the fact that you buy these pieces to be in style or in fashion, and if you think about fashion, it's so fleeting, you know. One week you're wearing baggy jeans and the next week it's skinny jeans, you know, or baggy clothes versus a leotard, see-through versus a complete shapeless bag, you know. That's the problem with fashion, is that yes, it does come back around, but it is so fleeting. And to spend an obscene amount of money and funds on a piece that you could otherwise get the same look for much less, I feel like is a waste. And I'm not saying that because, you know, I have a thing against high-end brands or anything. Like, I would love a pair of Louboutins, but I've heard that they are also Suki. Your big butt. She just spilled my tea a little bit, but that's okay. That's the tea on that. If you don't believe me, it's really her. She did it. You silly girl. You wanted to be in the episode? Yeah. She loves being on camera, don't you? I love you. She's such a good, look at her. Oh, she's so cute. Sorry. Okay, you can sit back down. Anyway, that money could be spent like doing something else, helping someone else, or saving your funds to create more funds. And that's the thing that I don't think a lot of people realize. Really wealthy people don't buy high-end brands like that unless they're trying to show off or whatever. But generally speaking, wealthy people tend to buy things that work, that last, that they know are going to help them in the long run. But where they really spend their money is on things that will make them money again. And I guess there's an argument to be said about certain pieces that could be collectibles, and in that sense, there could be a need or a want to spend money on those things. But the reality is, those who are really wealthy tend to spend money in smarter ways, and they don't need to show off that they're wealthy, because honestly, sometimes it's not good to let people know that you're wealthy. People try to take advantage of you in that regard. So keeping that in your pocket can be to your benefit as well. But anyway, unless you really want to have something very special or something that really means a lot to you, something that you finally worked up to having, like, oh, on my first million, I'm going to get a pair of Louboutins, or my first Chanel bag, stuff like that where you reward yourself. If you have an obscene amount of those things, then I guess you're bragging that you can afford something like that. But in the same vein, that money could be put to better use or to help others, We're living in an economy where it's hard. Life is hard. But also in the same vein, we have billionaires. We have people that are more wealthy than anyone has ever been in our history. And the way they spend money is such a slap in the face to people who could really benefit from money that these billionaires will never, ever use in their lifetime. And just a small percentage of their wealth could change the lives of so many people. And yet, these billionaires are using this money to only make more money. And it's like, why? Why? What is the end game? Why are we not in a society that values helping each other? And I know I kind of just went off on a tangent when it comes to fashion, but I feel like when I see pieces like that, I'm usually hoping that it's, because usually when you see those things like in weddings and stuff, I'm like, oh, I hope that's like a borrowed, like, because there's something blue, something borrowed, something new. Because if you're spending that kind of money just for people to be like, oh, did you see she had this such and such? I don't know. I've never lived that life, so maybe I don't know the high people get off of kind of showing that wealth or that illusion of wealth in some cases. But I don't know. I also feel like if somebody wants to feel special and have a piece that looks like something, I'm not against knockoffs. People are like, oh, well, you're ripping off the designer and this and that. Well, the reality is everything is copied from somebody. Nothing is an original idea anymore. And on top of that, the designers, instead of putting things on sale, they burn the pieces at the end of the year. They burn them, or they give them, like, hopefully, from what I heard, they have like end of the year. They'll help their salespeople, and the salespeople won't get the pieces. They have to buy them at a discounted rate, but like they don't even get to have them, And what's left over, they get rid of entirely, which is wild to me. Wild. The fact that some designers don't even have sales, so that people who want to get to that level can never. And so there's that level of gatekeeping, and like, what's that fancy bag that you can only be invited to in order to buy? You have to be at a wealth level where the designer invites you to buy that bag, That's crazy, the gatekeeping of that. And again, that's to make people feel special and different and show off in a way. But I don't know. I guess, every human is different. And so in that regard, we can't always all be equal or equitable. Some of us aren't born with limbs. Some of us aren't born with sight, with sound, hearing. Some of us are just, we're all born different. And so I guess we're all special in some way. It's just when you use material possessions to make yourself elevated and superior and above others, I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me, I guess. But what do I know? I buy things from Shein and China, so I just make things work, If you want something to look good and high end, just get it tailored to your body. And that's all I can say about that. You don't have to buy the most expensive thing to look like the most expensive person in the room, Something to be said about people who, buy things that are all high end and still somehow end up looking cheap, you know? It's fashion isn't always stylish. Let's put it that way. And I feel like style is something that if you have a stylist, definitely utilize that person. But if you have your own sense of style, there's something really special about that in and of itself. But yeah, anyway, I hope I just kind of wanted to go off on a tangent with that sort of thing. Just been something I've been thinking about, people complaining about, girlies buying the Target version of some boots and not the real version by the original designer. And how povo of them. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Whatever. Do you. Get what makes you feel happy. You know what? If you like designer things and that makes you happy, just do it. Whatever, And I got Suki firm. But if you're buying things to make you feel superior and above other people, then maybe you should examine that more than anything else first. You know what I'm saying? Be happy with you before you need material possessions to make you happy. And that's my tea on fashion for today. I hope you had an amazing day. I am going to relax now and enjoy the rest of my Monday. And I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you how to do this look. So stay tuned for that. It's actually very easy. It's super fun. And if you like it, watch tomorrow's episode. And yeah, all right. Anyway, thank you for spending time with me today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. Until next time.